This episode of the Design Your Dream Home podcast is brought to you by Crayon. Crayon is the custom residential architects network, and by Porcelanosa. Porcelanosa is a luxury lifestyle brand that brings modern European design into your home. You are listening to the Design Your Dream Home podcast with Doug and Steve. Doug and Steve are architects, and they're here to help you design your dream home.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Good morning, Steven. I'm just fine, buddy. How you doing?
Today we're talking to, we don't have a guest. We're going to talk to each other. We're going to talk about the podcast. We're going to go on a little hiatus for different reasons, both professional and maybe some personal. Don't want to disappear forever. I think that this is a good time to, because I think we made some good headway and I really enjoy doing this, but I've got a couple of responsibilities opportunities that I think are interesting, that make it more challenging for me to kind of continue at this moment, which is fine, but I don't want to ever give it up because I kind of do enjoy this. I enjoy interacting with you. I've loved our guests. I've been happy that we've been able to provide a resource for people, listeners. It's not a gigantic audience, but the ones that listen are engaged and appreciate our mission. And I want to kind of expand that going forward in the future and see if we can't help more people. I thought just the idea of trying to, as we sort of try to figure out what this was to provide a resource where we can help homeowners that were excited about design and architecture. I think it's the right idea. So I still like that idea. Hopefully we can find ways to kind of expand that, but so far so good. I've been happy with what we've done. We've had like 50 something episodes, which when we started this, I don't know if we would have made it that long. So I'm happy that we've sort of kept at it. So we're gonna go away, but not not forever, and we want people to still connect with us. What are your thoughts, Doug?
Wow. Well, as you were talking, I was thinking about how we first met, which to me was kind of funny because I remember tweeting. The only place I could really find you other than, PBS up in some ivory tower somewhere was on Twitter. And so I remember, you may recall, I think I tweet messaged you or followed you or something. And I don't think I ever heard back. And then maybe 6 months later, I tried again. And you sent me like a really quick, I said, hey, we should do something together someday. This would be great. Now, this must have been 10 years ago or 7 or 8 years ago, a long time ago, right at the advent of Twitter. I don't know. Anyway, you tweeted back like 3 sentences. You didn't really, you just kind of dismissed me. And I was like, oh man, that would be so cool.
I don't remember this.
And anyway, I got a phone call. I think you tweeted back at some point, like years later. This might have been 3 or 4 years ago. You said, hey, we should try something. And so we talked about so many different project ideas. And I think some of them were, there were a few that were really strong. And after working with you for a couple of years here, if it's been a couple of years, it's been really fun. You and we're both architects, but we're very different. So that works really well. In a marriage, that's important. Business relationships, same thing. And so this has been, it's been really fun. It's been not only it's been interesting and fun to meet you, but I thought at first talking to all these architects would be a little boring, and it's like talking to yourself all the time, right? Talking to all these intellectuals and people that are really more talented than me, and and more successful than me. And I thought, how am I going to suck it up and do this? And there was no sucking up. I mean, there were all of the people that we've interviewed, regardless of what they do or what their level of success was. What I really enjoy is how different they all are, particularly their personalities and their goals. So, we always kind of get to the same part in a podcast where we say, you really should use an architect because it's really important. And there's lots of really big decisions you're going to make, and you're going to make a big mistake if you don't use an architect. We almost inevitably always say that. However, what I really enjoyed was how different everybody was. They all have these different stories and they end up doing what they're doing for different reasons and they're focusing on different things. And I guess the other thing that I would say about the podcast in general that was really enlightening for me was green building. I am such a curmudgeon when it comes to this LEED certification stuff, and I've never focused on it at all. And then I happened to be at an AIA convention a couple of years ago, and I went and heard this net zero talk, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be so boring. I do not know why I'm here. And man, I was blown away. I really thought this is not only is it what the direction the world is headed, but this is something I'm really interested in. It's not that easy, and it's beautiful, and it can really change your life and the lives of people around you and the world in some respects. So that has been really cool. So the people that we've gotten to talk to in regard to green building, I think has been kind of the highlight for me. But again, there have been so many really neat episodes that we've done and interesting people. So anyway, that's just reflecting on our first meeting and then doing this podcast. Yeah. So, for me, I definitely don't want to just say this is it. Hopefully in 6 months from now, we can, talk about where we are and what kind of traction we have and how busy we are doing whatever we're doing. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. So, I think that part of this is precipitated by, I think that was a good stopping point for now, because as we talked about, we said, okay, so how can we sort of expand or continue to improve upon what we're doing? And we said, let's take a short amount of time. And then I told you that I do have a new opportunity to host a new program for PBS called Scandinavian Design. So that looks like it's going to happen now. So that's going to happen in the late spring. So I need to begin to work on that. That's great. That's exciting, because that's kind of what, as you know, that I've always enjoyed trying to teach through various channels like you. You were kind of the original YouTube sensation in architecture, and I was sort of trying to be a more conventional route through television and did that. And then those things, they're sort of, they go and they come back sometimes. In this case, something came back. We talked for a while about this program and what it could be, and and so it sounds good. It's something that I like to do. I'm not the executive producer. I'll be just the host, but it seems that they actually do need me to be involved with content, which is, of course, because I'm the only architect there as part of the team. So that should be fun. And again, it's a PBS program. It'll air in 2021, and I'm going to be traveling through Scandinavia for a bit in the spring, summer. So that's going to be in fall. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But anyway, I'm not going to complain about that. And so hopefully I'll have some good content. Maybe you can connect some European architects and so forth, and maybe we expand our focus. But so that's one of the reasons of why I had to kind of pull back a little bit. As you and I don't run big, huge offices and all of that. We both have to be involved in pretty much everything, which is kind of how we wanted to do it. This is where we are in our lives and our careers, and it's tough to do a lot of things and to do them well. You sort of get stretched too thin. So I think that I teach, and I'm trying to practice, and I'm going to take this on, and with the travel, it makes it kind of a challenge. So hopefully I can kind of keep up the quality of everything. We'll see. It's always a challenge. And I know you're practicing and doing different things as well. So I know you're always working on other projects. It's every 2 weeks I ask you what you're up to, and you're like, oh, I wrote a book, or oh, I created this exhibition. I'm like, well, when do you do these things? So you're always doing something.
That's great.
Right? Well, every time we talk, yes. They're like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I wrote a book. I said, what are you talking
about? Nobody's reading it, but I wrote one.
Right.
This episode of the Design Your Dream Home podcast is brought to you by CRAN. CRAN is the Custom Residential Architects Network. CRAN is the leading resource and voice for architects who focus on collaborative design with homeowners. CRAN provides support, advocacy, and education for custom residential projects, as well as professional development for its members via forums, symposia, publications, and local activities. To learn more about CRAN, visit www.aia.org/CRAN. This episode of the Design Your Dream Home podcast is brought to you by Porcelanosa. With 30 showrooms in the United States and Canada, Porcelanosa is a luxury lifestyle brand that'll make your next project's dream into a reality. From a wide selection of tiles and mosaics to modern bathroom and kitchen cabinetry designs, Porcelanosa makes it easy to bring modern European design elements into your home. Visit porcelanosa-usa.com to learn more.
Well, the PBS thing, Stephen, it's over the top. It's so cool. So I wish you the best, and I cannot wait to hear about your travels and the architecture you see and the people that you meet and all of your insights. I think it's going to be really big and a lot of fun to watch. So I'm really proud of you, and I think it's great. So I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. These things. It's it's a lot of people involved. A lot of things have to work right. So far, so good. But we'll hopefully we'll come back and I can sort of announce something or share something. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Right. Yeah, and for me, I like you. I'm still practicing architecture mostly up in the Greenwich area, although pick up some work in Pennsylvania on occasion. And you and I have talked, and we've talked. I was just talking to the producer, Ashton. I haven't talked online about it. I may eventually do some videos about it just because it's a big part of my life. But about 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with a condition called dystonia, which is a movement disorder, and it affects all the muscles in my face. And it's absolutely awful. So it's genetic, and it's kind of something I always knew that might happen to me, and it did. And so it's made things really challenging. So, again, it's probably a good time to focus a little bit more on trying to get better. I'm working with a doctor in Toronto who specializes in something called neuroplasticity, which is a unique way to come at this disease, and it's not terminal, and I'm going to be fine, but it does affect everything I do. I was just explaining to Ashton that, 2 years ago, I found it difficult to walk and keep my eyes open. So, many times during the day, I'm functionally blind. And so I'm kind of learning how to do things all over again. It's affected my voice, and it's affected work and reading and using the computer, and oh my goodness gracious. So anyway, my life's been quite a challenge over the last 3 years. Last year was probably the worst year of my life in terms of struggling with this, we'll call it disability. But things are good. I'm working at it, and I think I'm better than I was, and hopefully someday I'll be maybe not all better, but considerably better. And so anyway, it's a good time to step away from the podcast and focus on some of those things. And of course, I'm going to continue to work and make videos and write, but it's all become a little bit more challenging. So it is what it is, and that's life. So anyway, that's where I am.
To your credit, I didn't even know any of this until you told us, because that means last year when we were doing interviews, you were fine to me. I didn't realize you were going through all these kind of issues of focus and concentration and just sort of being able to kind of stay with us. I didn't really know until you told us later. You said, "Hey, I got to tell you something that's going on." So, So as we talked about, you'll keep working on it, and you're doing some therapy and physical therapy and so forth. And when we first talked about, we wanted to do some video together. So hopefully we can revisit that when you get back up to speed. You shouldn't have been boxing so much, Doug, when you were younger. Are you a boxer? Isn't this what happens?
Right, it's the head injuries.
Getting hit in the head over and over again.
Right. It certainly didn't help my architecture career. Although, what was Tadao Ando was a boxer. So.
That's true, and he's
it's interesting. I don't think our audience.
Maybe you didn't get hit.
Yeah, maybe he didn't. Oh my gosh. I don't think we've ever told our audience that we've never met in person. Is
No, we
that
have.
we can admit that
No,
we've
you're
talked a
wrong.
million times, but we've
No,
never
that's
met in
wrong.
person. That's
We have. So now,
crazy.
no, you're wrong. You're forgetting something now, and I will
Oh,
attribute this to you getting hit in the head.
oh, we did meet in person
Yeah,
once. We did
yeah,
at the AIA convention, but this was
yes,
before we worked together.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
I
just
really don't
back then
recall
too.
ghosting you on Twitter either, because I don't do that. And in fact, I make so many of our guests come from Twitter. It's pretty amazing, Twitter. I love that platform, and I've made so many connections and contacts on Twitter, and interact with people on DMs, architects, designers, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of our guests are people that I sort of after a while I say, hey, I really like your content. Would you be interested in being on this podcast? And that's been a great. So I can't believe I ghosted you. I mean I don't know why. I don't believe
I'll
you.
find the
I
original.
probably have it in my history. I just don't believe
You
it. I
should
wouldn't
go.
do that.
You should go there. You did.
I don't do that. I don't
It's
ignore.
something, man.
I'm not
Stephen, it
that type.
was.
I don't do that. I don't big time anybody. So,
Well, I take things too personally, so it's probably.
but I still wouldn't do it. I don't do that. It must have, I don't know what happened.
I
I
love
probably wasn't on Twitter back then, but because I'm the one that tweets at you and you never respond. So that's probably like 50 times over the past 2 years
I,
what I've at you and you've not responded.
I love it, dude. That's so great.
You
Yeah,
you
man.
believe that's true, right?
It's
That
so
is
mad
true.
for not tweeting things back out. I'm not on. I'm not on the social media platforms like you
Right.
are, other than
Right.
the YouTube thing. So.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, it's been a lot of fun. And what has been your favorite guest or thing that you've learned or subject matters? There's been something that you really liked?
We tried in the interest of giving our listeners wide ranging content, uh, brought guests on things like disaster relief, prefabrication,
Yeah.
zero energy design, design build, a lot of different areas that I don't have. I'm not going to say expertise. I would say interest. Like I don't have a lot of interest in these
Right.
areas. But
Sure.
after talking to the people, and a lot of these they're experts in their area. It was very interesting, and I became much more interested in what they were saying and why it was important, and it's kind of opened my mind up into different avenues. So I think that's great. So um, this is one of the reasons why I really enjoyed this podcast, because I mean, a lot of it was just like you and I thought, well, maybe what do I want to learn about? What would I like to understand more about? And sort of in a way, being a listener, looking for information, um, or we were like that too. I just wanted to learn more from someone who's an expert. And I don't know if people realize, but architecture is so wide and so vast. You can't really be an expert in architecture. There's just so many areas of
Yeah.
focus, and
So
so
true.
to bring on people that are really experts in their arenas was fantastic. So I really enjoyed some of that. And by the way, some of our guests, it's so interesting. Some of them have gone on, and like for example, Francisco Rodriguez. He was just named the dean at the University of Illinois School of Architecture in Illinois.
I saw
If you
that.
remember, he was from Puerto Rico, and now he's taken on a fantastic new position there. And it's just exciting to see some of our guests kind of, now that we're friendly, we're sort of colleagues, and to see them go on and have success. And so, no, it's great. I really, we've made a whole new, uh, a lot of new friends and colleagues, and learned a lot. And so that's why I don't want it to go away. I want to kind of pick this back up again. I just want to make sure that we're, besides having a lot of fun ourselves, making sure that we're providing a valuable resource for others.
Right.
And I don't want this to be a hermetic conversation, meaning architects talking to architects that only architects are listening to, or nobody. So we got to just really work very hard to try to connect to the larger public. So that's something I just want to always be aware of.
I think that's a really good point. We're going to do this. There's got to be a reason, right? So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I mean, it's not like the last episode of Seinfeld. We don't have to go on and on. I just kind of want to tell people where we are. And I'm not sad. It's fine. I mean, we're both.
There's no tears. We're not going away.
No.
Yeah.
You just gotta work on it and come back with something a little stronger and always getting better. So we'll do that, and And so, but anyway, we're going to keep the podcast, the website up and keep those episodes there, and we'll be back stronger than before. So,
right on. Well, good luck to you, Stephen, on the show. I think that's so cool. You're so good at it, and you're going to do an amazing job.
I got to lose like 7 pounds.
Oh, baby. Well, at least it's a reason to get in shape or lose a little bit of weight. Maybe your wife will get even more interested in you after it, and
I doubt that, but I will. I will have to because I think this person is a tall model. The co-host they've given me is a Norwegian.
Oh boy.
Like model girl, and I have this
Really?
feeling like she's blonde and 6'3", and I'm gonna have to
Not
only lose a little bit of weight, but also grow about 6 inches if possible. So I'm I don't want to look like a little shrimpy sidekick. And I'm not short either. It's just, how am I going to look like
what are
this
you,
woman?
5'10", 5'11", something like that?
I'm just I'm an average size guy.
With the afro?
My new hairstyle, I'm 6 feet.
Do you remember that from Fletch? I'm 6'2" with the afro, something like that. That was funny.
I know what it is. That was a 70s movie or something, Doug? Come on.
Yeah, Chevy Chase. Fletch.
Oh.
I love that. I love that stuff. 6 foot with the afro. All right, buddy. Well,
talk to you soon.
Yeah. It's good to see you.
And with that phone call,
there we have it.
You've been listening to the Design Your Dream Home podcast with Doug and Steve. If you have any questions or want to give us any feedback on the show, feel free to reach us through our website at thedougandsteveshow.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.